Young ladies, and gentlemen, good day to each and every one of you. Once again, you are warmly welcomed here on your beloved platform, the platform for awakening consciousness. So, it's a first, yes, it's a first, and it's making international headlines. The President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, has traveled to the field. In the Kursk region, yes, in the Kursk Oblast. We are talking about Kursk, which many of you are already familiar with. But allow me to remind those who do not know exactly what it is about. The Kursk region, it is this region that experienced the penetration of Ukraine NATO. I am referring to the combination of soldiers from both Ukraine and NATO. They penetrated. It is a part of Russian territory. You know that Russian territory is very vast. So they penetrated with the objective of pushing Russia to withdraw those soldiers who had been deployed across the entire Ukrainian national territory, so that these people would return to Russian soil to try to defend their own territory. So it was a technique to try to transport the conflict, to move the conflict from Ukraine to Russia. Unfortunately, the strategy was doomed to fail. The soldiers who entered there almost never came out, because as soon as they entered, they were surrounded. And then the Russians limited themselves there. They are surrounded, they can no longer get out. Meanwhile, Russia continued its mission of the special military operation on the Ukrainian side, on all fronts, whether east, west, north, or south. So, in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, let's put it this way. In recent days, Russia has stepped on the gas pedal in terms of clearing the Kursk region. Bombardment. In any case, a perfect clearing which led to witnessing scenes where NATO soldiers, Ukrainian soldiers, foreign mercenaries who were part of the Ukrainian army team came to surrender. These soldiers came to lay down their arms and surrendered. So, as if all that wasn't enough, President Vladimir Putin decided to visit the site in the Kursk region. First, primarily, to send a very, very strong message to Ukraine, its allies, but more specifically to France. Since it is France that is very agitated. Macron's France. Macron who rises like a war leader, who summons the NATO chiefs of general staff to ask them to produce a plan B, to see to what extent Europe can act against Vladimir Putin's Russia. So Putin went to the field of hostilities, and it's one of the rare times to see Vladimir Putin in military attire. He was in military attire, as you can see in the image, in military attire. He gave firm instructions. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the context of this video conference, it is about Vladimir Putin's visit to the Kursk region, for the first time, that we are going to talk about. But as you usually know, before continuing, I humbly ask you to share the video conference. It needs to be shared as much as possible. Share it in all possible groups. Give it lots of likes. Give it lots of likes. Yes, it gives strength to the video conference. It gives more visibility. And it motivates me. It encourages me that everyone takes the time to leave a comment. If you don't have a specific comment, just write, "Hello Samurai," or you write "Dare." It's already a win. This is our political slogan. We continue. So what happened in Kursk? Vladimir Putin in military attire. That's already a message. It means he is ready. If Emmanuel Macron wants to position himself as a war leader, Vladimir Putin is already a military man. So, in military uniform, it's a strong message. So, the Russian President Vladimir Putin, when he arrived, he set clear objectives for the armed forces. He was very clear. he called for a swift victory against the Ukrainian troops present in the region. The message is very clear. He also insisted on the need to consider the military in the Kursk region as terrorists. And he mentioned the creation of a security zone along the national border. Putin is no longer in the buried wound. He knows, Putin knows that surely very soon there will be a ceasefire agreement. It should not be that during the negotiations it is said, well, we ask you to sign mandatorily, and in return, we will withdraw our troops from the Kursk region. This would be a way to weaken Russia, which is a power compared to Ukraine. So, a definitive cleanup must be carried out before going to negotiations. There, Russia also starts from a position of strength since at the beginning, initially, at the start, when NATO was organizing this penetration on Russian soil, the objective of the Ukrainian offensive in the Kursk region was to ensure that Russia could feel the pain of the foreign military presence encroaching on its soil. And this would thus allow weakening Russia, which would be much more concerned about how to make these people who are on its territory today leave. So that was it, putting Ukraine in a position of strength. And it is this position of strength that Vladimir Putin is currently seeking to destroy as soon as possible. The chief of the General Staff of the Russian Armed Forces, General Valery Gerasimov, reported on the military advances on the ground. He presented the situation to Vladimir Putin. He stated that 24 localities and 250 km2 of territory, Kursk, had been recaptured over the last 5 days. In 5 days. According to him, more than 86% of the areas previously occupied by the Ukrainian army are now under Russian control. Furthermore, he announced the capture of more than 400 Ukrainian soldiers in this border region. And so, here, the situation that was presented to Vladimir Putin. So, he was very pleased, Putin was very pleased. Thus, he stated that it was necessary to crush the enemy definitively as soon as possible, who has entrenched themselves in the Kursk region, and to completely liberate the region. Therefore, he went on to give an order that must be executed. So, ladies and gentlemen, here are the results of Vladimir Putin's presence on the ground in the Kursk region. So I have nothing left to say to all of you except thank you for your various contributions to the realization of this video conference. Thank you for sharing it as widely as possible. I will return to you shortly by the grace of God, the Almighty, with new updates. This was the voice of your one and only Samurai.